guys, it's Kelly. Thanks so much for joining me today on this Scrap Your Heart Out YouTube hop. I am so excited to be part of this and honored and was very thankful when Erica asked me to participate. There are several of my scrappy crushes that are participating, so just to even be lumped in with them just really made my day. So for today's layout, I am using a Felicity Jane kit, but it's not just one Felicity Jane kit. I had a couple from the beginning of the year that I had bought, and I put everything together in an iris container just because a lot of her papers just work well, you know, from kit to kit. And I pulled out this graphic word, the love, written all across the paper, and decided that that was going to be the one between that and that whitewashed wood grain. I wanted those two, they really fit the mood of the layout and where I wanted to go with it. I wanted it to be a very light and airy feeling layout, and for a minute I thought that I would use this Project Life card. I'm actually cutting it apart, and I liked that heart because it didn't seem very feminine, and you know, I was thinking I was going to use it, but I end up finding something that I like a little bit better. So to back this photo, I just pulled out my hazel and ruby tissue paper on the roll. When I last looked in Michael's, they didn't have a solid white one like this is. This has a little bit of a design on it, but you may still be able to find them online. They had, in my Michael's, they had like a newspaper print and a gold polka dot and a couple of others I can't remember right offhand. But I really like this white because it just adds, you know, some more layers and without bringing a lot of heaviness to the page, as in weight or visual weight. So at this point, I'm starting to look and try to figure out exactly where I wanted to take the layout. And again, I was trying to think, I really wanted it to be nice and bright. So I decide that I want to trim the edges of this paper, and I'm just going to trim a 1/2 inch off of two sides, and I want to be careful and not get the darker wood grain parts because I like the texture that that gives. And because my video ended up being so long, I did, you know, edit some of this out, but I distressed the edges of the paper and then rolled the edges up. I just really liked that visual interest that it gave to the layout, and also in keeping my goal of having a very light and airy layout. So I was thinking that I wanted to add just a little splash of aqua. The water behind him is beautiful shades of that green and aqua, and you know, between those blues and the aquas, I thought that that might be a nice little contrast as well. So when I was looking through all of the things that I have in my iris container, I saw this vellum heart and decided that that was perfect. It was a lot better of a choice for the lighter, airier effect that I was going for than that black geometric heart. So, you know, again, I'm just looking through. She's usually includes like a cut apart sheet. I'm not quite sure because I'm pretty new to her kits, but I cut those tags apart off of a sheet and just layered it underneath the heart and a little tag that said I love you. And one of her kits included this stencil, and I love to use embroidery floss on layouts. It's something that I did very early on when I started scrapbooking. I started scrapbooking in 2000, and I have one of my probably, you know, earlier layouts within that first year that I embroidered a hobby horse off of my son's little outfit onto one of his pages. So for me, that just seemed like a perfect fit when I saw that stencil. I knew that was a kit that I really wanted to have. So when I was thinking about what I wanted, I knew that I wanted the title to be something to the effect of, you know, your smile. And I looked at the white puffy alpha stickers that I had, and I just thought that those weren't going to be big enough. I really wanted to have a large title, but for it to be not heavy. Again, I know I've said this a bunch. I'm trying to have a very light and airy feel to this layout. So when I'm looking at this and I realize that, you know, the puffy letters that I have are not going to cut it, I decide that I want to repeat the embroidery that I was going to do of the heart, and I am going to embroider the title. So in just a second, it'll go to where you can see that I printed off the title in just one of the fonts that came with my computer. I don't think this was any special font. And I chose it because of a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a pretty thick font, even when it's used smaller, and that makes a nice, easy to read word when you have several letters. And I also liked it because I didn't want to compete with the script words on the background paper of my love paper. And so I thought that having these distinctly different fonts would play off of one another well. So I don't show you the whole time that I'm doing this, but I just tape the printer paper that I have with the words, and I just go around and I poke holes in with my little pokey tool, and I, you know, through the magic of editing, I have embroidered the whole thing, and I just used a simple back stitch. And I had to cut a lot of that out because my video would have been forever if I didn't. So I'm sorry. If you want to see or have a question about that, just please ask and I will do my best to answer it. So I do like my tags to have holes in them, and I went ahead and punched that so that I could add some twine. And I decided that what I wanted to do to further play on that aqua is that I wanted to use my shimmers, and I am going to paint in with the watercolors a few of the loves just to add a little bit more interest and a little bit more fun. So before I commit to doing that, I wanted to see how it would look, and I just chose a spot underneath the photo, and when I saw it and it worked well with the vellum heart, it was just a perfect accent. So I did decide to do several of the loves. You know, it was just a fun way for me to play with my watercolors and the shimmers. I'm really loving these, and I think I'm definitely going to be incorporating some more into my stash. And they're actually one of the sponsors. So I do want to take a minute and thank the sponsors. We have a bunch of sponsors. I think it's like 8 or 10 of them. And, you know, the prizes and things couldn't be possible without our sponsors. And, you know, be sure and thank them if you win something from them. I know that sounds bad, or, you know, I shouldn't really be saying it, but they do bring things to the table that, like, I can't. And so it's just nice to know that they are behind us when we're doing things like this. So I'm going ahead and I'm going to get everything down on my layout. I'm really liking the way that it's coming together, and you know, I want to see it come to fruition. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything down. The title, with, you know, when I was done with the title, I was so happy with the way that it came out. It was exactly what I had in mind with, you know, this, as far as the size of the title and the visual weight that it gave. So I am going to use that photo tab on the side, and in a little bit I will pull out my stamps and just stamp an XOXO on the tab. And I stamp the date on that black label off camera. I film with my phone, so I don't always have immediate access to checking my dates on some of my photos. So a lot of times I'll just do it off camera. And I'm just going through some of my Felicity Jane stamps. She had a sale on them, I think last summer, and I picked up several of them just to try and see. And if you have not tried her stamps, they are very well made and they stamp beautifully. And I don't usually have to stamp off either when I'm doing it, although I still do it just in case. Now, I completely had forgotten that I wanted to stitch the heart when I adhered the paper down, and so I end up having to stitch, or I end up having to poke holes through the background paper as well. And that was not an easy task, I will tell you. So I went ahead and I printed my journaling on the computer and just printed it out. I didn't want to write. I usually journal in cursive, and I didn't want my cursive with the cursive words on the paper. So I just decided that the journaling strips would be a better fit for this page. And I just talk about, you know, how he's growing up, and it's, you know, it's a great thing and it's a sad thing too. And, you know, because I still see him as my little boy, you know. I saw a baby today in the store and he looked to be about 4 months old, and all I could think about was, I remember when Patrick was that small, and I would just give anything for him to be that small again, to just have another day with the joy that he brought at that age. It's not that I'm trying to not have him grow up, it's just he's growing up so fast, and I see, you know, 2 more years of school left, and then he goes away to college, and it happens so quick. And, you know, it just made me just really want him to know how much I love him and how proud I am of the young man that he's growing up to be. So anyway, this is pretty much it for my layout. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do have some close-ups at the end, and again, I have a sponsor link at the end just so you can see the sponsors that we had. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment and check out the rest of the videos in the hop. Thanks so much. Bye.